If you sell a course for only $5,000 and you sell it just 200 times, you made $1 million. Now, considering 200 is only 0.0000244% of the world population of 8.2 billion, I guarantee you know something that 200 people in this world would pay you $5,000 for. But here is the problem. How do you know it's the right course topic? You don't want to just pick a topic that you like. You could end up building a course that no one buys. And you definitely don't want to just pick a topic that you are good at. You could end up creating content you have no passion for, which means your content will probably be boring, like oatmeal, nutritious, but nobody's getting excited about it. And you definitely do not want to pick a topic that just makes money, because if you aren't good at it, how are you going to help people? At some point, people will figure this out and the reputation of your business will die a painful death. You need a course topic that stands on 3 pillars. You are good at it, you love it, and there is a strong market for it. Put another way, enjoyment, skill, and cash flow. The first time I published a video that covered all 3 pillars, that video made me $97,332 in course sales. But the question always comes up, how do you actually pull this off? Well, first, I have to share something so critical. I have yet to, because if I don't share this, nothing else I say is going to matter. I have yet to meet a single person who did not have an expertise that more than qualified for all 3 pillars. You just need to find what it is. There are skills that you've been developing all your life, whether you realize it or not, that you can make a lot of money and change a lot of lives with by turning that skill into a course. You see, the problem though is we have been taught by society to look at our skills like hiring managers look at your resume. Do you fit into my predetermined slot? Hiring managers are like puzzle masters, checking if you're the exact piece they've already carved a space for. They measure you against a template instead of evaluating you as a complete asset. And the result? They overlook 90% of your skill mosaic just to see if that 10% they're looking for clicks into place. And then without realizing it, we do the same thing to ourselves. Let me ask you a question. If you've raised teenagers and a hiring manager interviews you for a position that requires high proficiency in negotiation, do you think he's accounting for the negotiation skills you developed raising teenagers and being married for 20 years? So how do you fix that? The answer, ladies and gentlemen, is domains and layers. Every life experience you've had since birth is a domain. And every skill you developed in those domains is a layer. So a domain, you could say, is an arena of experience, whereas a layer is everything you've learned in that experience. I'm not a video gamer at all, but it is like video gaming, and this is the best analogy I can think of. In video gaming, you have the game level, like the fire world or the ice world or the forest world. That's your domain. But then you have the skills and upgrades you unlock in that world, like fire resistance or ice climbing or stealth. That's your layer. Using this concept of domains and layers can uncover 10 times the skills any hiring manager could possibly see in you. Think about your domains: relationships, finance, government and politics, nonprofits, volunteering, business startups, team sports, internet technology, marketing, video production, academia, law, health, fitness. I mean, this is just a sample of hundreds of possible domains in your life. And in each of those domains, you have layers of experience. You know, corporate culture teaches us to think one-dimensionally about our skills, and it is time to destroy that. Let me give you an example. Imagine that you were a purchaser of office equipment. Do you realize you learned far more than just purchasing office equipment in that role? You also learned how to negotiate because you had to negotiate prices and terms and conditions with suppliers. You also learned how to analyze data. You had to analyze cost, quality, service offerings from vendors. What about market research? You had to track market dynamics to forecast needs and make informed decisions. What about supplier management? You had to build relationships with suppliers. You had to manage supplier performance, ensure reliability, resolve issues on the go. What about how to create and manage a large budget? For example, you had to create a budget, stay within financial constraints while meeting company needs, strategize to help the companies you work for gain maximum value on the dollar. What about how to manage contracts? You had to learn contract law, procurement, how to draft, review, update contracts, how to protect your employers without burning bridges. What about how to manage projects? You had to plan, you had to organize, oversee the purchase of furniture for multiple employees within a defined time frame and a budget. What about how to work with logistics? You had to learn shipping, handling, installation of heavier, complex equipment. And guys, that is just 8 different course topics. We just scratched the surface. Don't just look at domains, however. Also look at subdomains. I'll give you an example. Marketing is a domain. Content marketing is a subdomain. Training is a domain. Training in IT is a subdomain. Fitness is a domain. Fitness for people in their 40s is a subdomain. Relationships is a domain. Marriage is a subdomain. Now, what are examples of layers from relationship subdomains? Let's just go a little deeper. So perhaps you successfully raised children through middle school season. That's a course topic. Or perhaps you survived divorce after having kids. That's a course topic many could relate to. Or maybe you struggled for years in your marriage and then experienced a huge breakthrough with your spouse. Guys, with over a 50% of divorce rate today in the world, can you imagine how many people would eat that up and would love it and be impacted by it and pay you money for it? What about having years of dating experience pre-marriage? Or what about learning how to care for a chronically sick spouse for years? Or maybe you grew up in a home with more than 5 siblings. The possibilities are almost endless. Domains and layers can bring 10 times the skill sets to the surface. And this makes it easy to pick out what you love and what you are good at. Because once you've gone through this exercise, you're going to have a list of more than you know what to do with. And now it's just like, okay, which one of these am I really good at? Because obviously some you're going to be better at than others. And which one of these do I love? You need both. You need to be really good at it so you can actually genuinely help people, but you need to love it as well. Because when you love something and when you're teaching content on it, you're going to be 10 times more interesting, which makes your marketing 100 times easier. Now, here's a question that comes up. Seth, I don't have that many domains. Before I became an entrepreneur, over 80% of my life experience when it comes to professional experience was in one domain, and that is ministry. And my roles were very few: youth pastor, college pastor, evangelist. I didn't even have the role of senior pastor or lead pastor. I was always the junior guy. And my bachelor's and master's degrees could not have been more unrelated to business. Both were degrees in Bible knowledge and ministry. So I was screwed, right? Wrong. As a college pastor, I learned how to motivate people without the power of the paycheck, how to build teams, how to delegate, how to hold attention while leading or teaching for large and small audiences, how to read the culture and unspoken nuances of college life, how to vision cast, leading a ministry with a compelling mission and clarity, how to plan events like retreats and worship nights and outreach events, how to fundraise, how to manage a budget, how to negotiate, talking about navigating the unique tensions between parent expectation and professors and college kids. Oh my goodness, that was huge. I could go on for another 10 minutes. Now, if you still feel unqualified, may I remind you that Scripture is filled with unqualified heroes. Moses stuttered. David's armor didn't fit. John Mark was rejected by Paul. Timothy had ulcers. Hosea's wife was a prostitute. Amos's only training was in the school of fig tree pruning. Jacob was a liar. David had an affair. Solomon was too rich. Jesus was too poor. Abraham was too old. David was too young. Peter was afraid of death. Lazarus was dead. And John was self-righteous. Naomi was a widow. Paul was a murderer. So was Moses. Jonah ran from God. Miriam was a gossip. Gideon and Thomas both doubted. Jeremiah was depressed and suicidal. Elijah burned out. John the Baptist was a loudmouth. Martha was a worrywart. Mary was lazy. Samson had long hair. Noah got drunk. God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. If he's called you to do something, he is going to prepare you for the path. If you feel anxiety or discontentment or just a sense of, I can't stand this, let me start by saying God's working in here first. And then he will begin to work through you and outwards towards others as he blesses your family and others around you, and in his timing, your finances. The challenge for every single man in my craftsman cohort to date has never been finding what his area of expertise is, but having so many skills to choose from. Like, of all these good options, which one, Seth, should I choose? If you teach what you love and are good at it, the byproduct is changed lives. Okay, but Seth, what about the third pillar? How do I make sure this course will make money? Well, I break that down in this video right here.